Hey, this is Joe from Phandroid, and today we're going to talk about the LG G6. I've had this phone for about 6 weeks, and my full review went up a little over a month ago. So I think it's time to revisit and share how some of my opinions have changed. Let's get into it. So first, let's quickly recap my review. I gave it a 4.8 out of 5, which some people thought was too high, but I think I actually like the phone more now than I did back then. And that's because of one big reason, which is a phone that you may have heard of. It's called the Galaxy S8. Basically, the Galaxy S8 gave me a greater appreciation for the G6. And this isn't gonna be a Galaxy S8 bashing. I think it's a very good phone, but there are a few things that make me prefer the G6 more. More on that in a bit. I still really love the 18:9 display, and now that I've used 2 phones with 18:9 displays, I want every phone to be like this. And it's really not as big of a deal as some people make it. An 18:9 display with software nav buttons takes up the same amount of space as a 16:9 display with physical nav buttons. I would love to see more phones adopt this style in the future. One of the things I didn't like about the display was the comfort view feature, which is LG's version of night shift. You can't make it turn on automatically at sunset, which a lot of phones do, and that's pretty annoying, so I've just been leaving it on at the medium setting all the time. In my review, I talked about the Snapdragon 821 and how it's still a good processor even though the Snapdragon 835 exists. I still stand by that. I did a speed test with the G6 and the Galaxy S8, and the G6 fared pretty well. Don't get me wrong, the Galaxy S8 is faster, but it's not massively better. If I use the Galaxy S8 for a while and then I go back to the G6, I don't feel like I'm using a much slower phone. And really the most important thing is the G6 feels just as fast and snappy today as it did the day that I unboxed it. All right, so let's talk about the Galaxy S8 and what about it makes me like the G6 more. So one of the things that I was kind of meh about in my G6 review was the camera. I thought it was good, but not great. I wasn't super impressed with it as much as I have been with LG phones in the past. But then I did a camera comparison with the Galaxy S8 and it kind of opened my eyes a bit. Samsung does a lot of processing on their photos in the background. So when you look at them in a vacuum, they look pretty good. But when you have something to compare them to, you can very quickly see how unnatural they look. Colors are super vibrant, contrast is cranked up, and the thing that kills it for me is the noise removal. Anything that can look like noise, like even a window screen or textured fabric, ends up getting smoothed out and kind of blurry. The G6 isn't doing any of that stuff. Photos just look really natural. And the G6 also has better video stabilization and audio. Battery life was another thing that I wasn't crazy about. The sad thing is it's pretty average for phones in this category, so it's hard to get too upset when it's pretty much on par with every other phone that I've used. Obviously, I would love for it to be better, but it gets the job done. But the good news is you do have wireless charging to charge it up, which I use every night and I love it. In my conclusion in my review, I mentioned that LG showed restraint by just doing what people want and not focusing on gimmicks like the modular design or the second screen. The Galaxy S8 camera situation is a perfect example of that. They're doing all this processing in the background. Now they have these Snapchat lenses and you can download more camera modes. There's just a lot going on. And it's kind of like that everywhere you look on the S8. The G6 isn't trying to be more than just a solid phone, and that's what I like about it. The best thing I can say about the G6 1 month later is that I still use it as my daily phone. I have the Galaxy S8. I could use that as my daily phone. And a lot of people are trying to decide between those two. I have both and I keep my SIM in the G6. And that's really one of the biggest compliments that I can give. If you have the G6, I want to hear from you. How do you like it? How long have you had it? Do you still like it as much as when you first got it? Let me know in the comments. But until next time, thanks for watching.